Wins another championship. But he gets to a few more finals. Like, do you believe this cemented it? That he's a top 3 player ever? MJ, Magic, LeBron. I mean, where do you have him now this morning?
Wow, great question. Well, for me,
Chris Webber just said the quiet part out loud, and the NBA felt it immediately. In a moment that sent shockwaves through the basketball world, the Hall of Famer openly challenged LeBron James and his constant self-declared GOAT claims. Webber didn't soften his words or dance around the issue. He went straight at it, snapping, "Stop calling yourself the GOAT." The tension was instant and unmistakable. This wasn't playful banter or a grab for headlines. It was one legend checking another in real time, and the fallout spread fast. Players, fans, and media were suddenly forced to pick sides because this wasn't just an opinion, it was a challenge to how greatness and legacy are talked about in 2025. What made the moment hit even harder was how it began. It was early January 2025, during what felt like a routine sit-down on a fast-rising sports podcast known for letting legends speak freely. No scripts, no filters. Webber was relaxed, joking, smiling, breaking down playoff races and praising young players making noise around the league. Everything felt normal until the host asked a seemingly simple question: "How do you see LeBron's legacy right now?" Instantly, the mood shifted. Webber's smile faded, his jaw tightened, and the pause grew heavy. Everyone watching could sense that something serious was coming. Webber leaned forward and said, "I'm going to say something that needs to be said." His voice was calm but sharp. Then he delivered it. "Stop calling yourself the GOAT. Just stop." The room froze. The host went silent. Producers stopped moving. And Webber wasn't done. He pressed further, asking when it became normal for players to crown themselves and when humility disappeared from the league. He made it clear this wasn't bitterness, it was about principle. The legends he grew up watching never had to announce their greatness. The game spoke for them. The culture spoke for them. Their peers spoke for them. There was no need for constant reminders blasted across social media. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Within 10 minutes of the clip hitting X, it passed 2 million views. Within an hour, LeBron James and Chris Webber were the top 2 trending names worldwide. Fans were split straight down the middle. Players quietly chose sides. Media debates went nuclear. This wasn't a random emotional outburst. It was something Webber had been sitting with for years. The frustration had been building, and this was the moment it finally came out. Webber knows scrutiny better than most. He came up with the iconic Fab Five, redefined what a power forward could be, made 5 all-star teams, and left his mark on the game in unforgettable ways. His career included brilliance, controversy, heartbreak, and moments that still get debated today. He understands what it's like to have your legacy constantly questioned instead of simply respected. That's why his words landed so hard. He wasn't attacking talent, he was calling out behavior. Over the past few years, LeBron hasn't just allowed the GOAT debate to swirl around him, he's actively pushed it. After milestones, after big wins, in interviews, on social media, and through branding, the message has been loud and consistent. "I'm the greatest basketball player ever. There's no debate." And to be clear, the resume is undeniable.
Ran everything.
I've never heard one of the greatest say they were the greatest of all time. That was very interesting to me. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Oof, man, you know what? It's one thing. We all sit at this table all the time and sing his praises.
Yeah.
I think LeBron is a great player.
Yeah.
I just think that's disrespectful, honestly, to Bill Russell. What did Bill Russell do? Won every time. He said, "All right, fellas, you want to win? Come with me, we'll go on the floor." That's what this game's all about. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Magic Johnson never called himself the greatest of all time. Larry Bird didn't either. Even Michael Jordan, the man most fans still consider untouchable, rarely said it out loud while he was playing. He simply won 6 championships and let the results speak for him. Kobe Bryant spent his entire career chasing Jordan's shadow and never once declared that he had surpassed him. That was the code. That was the respect Chris Webber was talking about. Webber had been hinting at this long before the moment that shook the league. In a low-key 2024 interview, he warned about the thin line between confidence and arrogance. On another podcast, he said, "Sometimes I wonder if we've empowered egos more than we've empowered the game." At the time, many brushed it off as old-school thinking, but in hindsight, he was clearly building towards something bigger. Then came the quote that made everyone uncomfortable. "I respect everything LeBron's accomplished," Weber said, calmly but firmly. "But there's a way to carry greatness, and there's a way to perform greatness." He explained that constantly telling people you're the greatest, building a brand around convincing the world, and turning every interview into a legacy checkpoint isn't how legends traditionally move. He went even harder, pointing out that Jordan destroyed opponents and walked away, while Kobe dropped 60 in his final game and simply said, "Mamba out." They didn't sell greatness, they showed it. The debate happened around them, not because of them. When the host tried to soften the moment by calling it a generational difference, Weber shut that down immediately. "Confidence," he said, "is showing up and delivering. This is something else." Then came the line that detonated everything. If you were truly secure in your legacy, you wouldn't need to keep saying it. That single sentence split fan bases, ignited the internet, and turned a normal interview into a full-scale NBA culture clash. Weber wasn't finished. He leaned into the part nobody likes to talk about: eras. LeBron, he said, plays in a different time, with different rules, spacing, and defensive schemes. And that's fine. Every era has its own battles. But when you start declaring yourself the greatest across all eras, when you place yourself above players who endured hand-checking, brutal defenses, and no freedom to choose teammates, that's where Weber drew the line. Those older legends didn't have social media to polish every moment, or documentaries shaping narratives before their careers were over. They didn't get to control the story in real time. That's when you lose a lot of us, Weber said, the ones who lived through those eras. The interview continued for another 15 minutes, but those were the moments that mattered. Those were the quotes that got clipped, looped, slowed down, and replayed non-stop. Within hours, social media descended into chaos. LeBron fans fired back hard, calling Weber jealous and pointing out his lack of championships. Old playoff moments and even his infamous timeout were dragged back into the spotlight. One viral post calling Weber the wrong messenger racked up hundreds of thousands of likes. At the same time, the old-school crowd rallied behind him. Comment after comment echoed the same sentiment. "We've been thinking this for years." Fans began posting compilations of every time LeBron crowned himself. Interviews, Instagram captions, documentary clips, and press conference soundbites. Current players were stuck in no man's land. Defend LeBron and get labeled soft. Stay quiet and get attacked from both sides. A few young stars tried to stay neutral, praising both legends, but the replies were merciless. Pick a side. The media machine went into overdrive. Every NBA show dropped emergency episodes. Stephen A. Smith alone pulled millions of views reacting to Weber's comments. Former players jumped in, some defending humility, others backing LeBron's right to own his greatness. This wasn't normal NBA drama. Weber had tapped into something deeper that had been building for years. Through the memes, the jokes, and the non-stop debates, one question hung in the air. What would LeBron say next? Everyone knew his response could flip the entire narrative again. But what many missed was that Weber wasn't only talking about LeBron. He was calling out a larger shift in the league, an era where greatness isn't just earned on the court anymore. It's packaged, promoted, and defended before anyone else can challenge it. Legacy has become as much about narrative control as performance. And that raises an uncomfortable truth. LeBron grew up watching how ruthless the media could be. He saw how Allen Iverson was criticized.
I know what I said, but you know what I meant.
No, I don't.
Come on, man. You players pick it up.
0-5.
These bombs y'all be showing every week. Okay, LeBron, one of the greatest ever. Can't give me 25 points. KD, one of the greatest ever. Can't give me 25 points. Anthony Davis, 8 rebounds.
That's easy.
Devin Booker, 1 3. Are you kidding me?
Hey, LeBron, by the way, 3 threes away from passing Kyle Korver.
Yes.
Agree with Giannis.
Of course. Now look, if you want to say the GOAT status is solely based on rings, I don't have an argument because 6 is more than 4. But that's the only time you use that argument because Russell has more. There's several other Celtics that have more than 6, and you never include them in the GOAT discussion. But I believe LeBron James has played better longer than any other player in the history. And if you look at the teams that he's lost to,
That's why Muhammad Ali hits different. Yes, he famously said, "I am the greatest," but he backed it up in ways that went far beyond wins and belts. He made people believe it through his actions, his courage, and his impact outside the ring. There's a crucial difference between earning belief and demanding agreement, and that line matters. This debate isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about generational philosophy. Older generations were raised on the idea that humility itself was power. You let your work speak, trusted time to sort things out, and understood that silence wasn't weakness, it was confidence. The newer generation learns something very different. If you don't promote yourself, someone else defines you first. If you don't speak loudly, you get erased. Neither mindset is purely right or wrong, but they clash hard, and that's exactly why this Chris Webber versus LeBron moment landed like a grenade. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird never had to fight algorithms or viral cycles. Their greatness lived in arenas, locker rooms, and memory, and the mythology built itself. Michael Jordan became the standard not because he told people he was the greatest, but because every time he stepped on the court, the argument ended on its own. You watched and just knew. In 2025, though, silence isn't gold anymore. Silence gets buried. The feed refreshes, a new star trends, and the spotlight moves on. Maybe that's what LeBron understood better than anyone. If you don't constantly remind the world who you are, the machine forgets you. Webber comes from a different time, when a long career could sit quietly and trust history to be fair. LeBron's generation learned the hard way that history isn't always fair. Sometimes the loud survive while the quiet fade. So who's right? That's the question tearing the league apart. And the uncomfortable answer might be that they're both right, trapped in different worlds, playing by different rules, and refusing to fully admit the other side has a point. So far, LeBron hasn't responded. No tweets, no Instagram captions, no press conference quotes, just silence. And honestly, that might be the smartest move he could make. Respond, and he validates the criticism. Fight back, and he looks defensive. Dismiss Webber, and he looks disrespectful. Behind the scenes, though, make no mistake, LeBron knows. People close to the situation say he's aware, and it's bothering him more than fans realize. For all the talk of ego, LeBron deeply cares about respect from NBA legends. He grew up idolizing them, and their approval still matters. Now, veterans are being put on the spot. Do they agree with Webber? Should LeBron stop calling himself the GOAT? Some dodge the question, some smile and pivot, but a few have quietly nodded and said, "I get what Chris is saying." That might be the loudest reaction of all. This controversy has done what years of shouting matches, TV panels, and hot takes never could. It forced people to stop and think about what greatest of all time actually means. Is it stats, championships, longevity, impact on the game, the eye test, or how you carried yourself? Does it matter whether greatness is given to you or claimed by you? The truth is, the GOAT debate was never clean or objective. It's always been emotional, generational, and about more than basketball. Chris Webber dragged that reality into the open and made everyone face it head-on, holding up a mirror to how legacy works in the social media age. A lot of people didn't like what they saw. What really caught people off guard was how Webber ended the interview. After all the sharp criticism, his message turned reflective. "I'm not trying to tear LeBron down," he said. "I'm trying to remind everyone, including him, that real greatness is humble." That line hit hard. True greatness doesn't need non-stop validation. It doesn't beg for applause. It respects the game, honors those who came before, and trusts history to tell the story. Whether LeBron takes that message to heart is still unknown. Maybe nothing changes. Maybe everything does. Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. Webber finally said out loud what many around the league had been whispering for years. And now that it's out in the open, there's no stuffing this conversation.